everyone. So we're going to go over what are functions. Please make sure that if you need to pause this video, rewind at any point. That is the whole point of you being in the technology room, for you to take your time with this video before you engage in your Regents practice. So first, what is a function? A function is a relationship where each input, meaning each x value, is paired up with only one output, so only one value. So one input, one output only. Pretty much the x values cannot repeat. And we're going to explore how functions are represented and how you can tell if each representation is a function or not. So first, let's go ahead and go into our tables. The tables are pretty straightforward to see if it's a function or not. So each value, please make sure to fill in the blank in your interactive notebook. So each x value has only one y value. And you can also put does not repeat. So you have to just ask yourself, does any x value repeat with different y values? If they do, then it's not a function. So if we look at this table, the first table that says function, none of your x values repeat. That makes this a function. In the second table, the one that says not a function, we have two twice with different y values. So that means since the x values repeat, this is not a function. Okay, so that's for tables. That's how you can tell if a table is a function or not. Let me erase this. And then let's keep on going. Oh. Now, when it comes to graphs, we need to do the vertical line test. So just keep in mind that a vertical line is a line that goes up and down. So something like this is a vertical line. So if you were to draw a vertical line on the graph, and it hits the graph more than once, then it is not a function. That might be a little clearer when we do some examples. Just keep in mind that vertical is a line that goes up and down like this. So let's look at some of our examples. And these are also in your interactive notebook. So this first graph here is not a function, because if I was to draw a vertical line this way, it hits the graph twice. So in this case, this circle kind of looking graph is not a function because it hits the graph more than once. We see it hits the graph here and here. Let's look at another example. This one as well. So if I was to draw a vertical line here, it would hit the graph 1, 2, 3 places. So this is not a function. Another example, also in your interactive notebook, is this one. So this one, if I was to draw a vertical line here, it hits it everywhere. So it's like it'll hit it here, here, everywhere. That's why this is not a function. And here, another example, if I draw a line here, a vertical line, hits it more than once. That's why it's not a function. And this last example is gonna look a little weird, but we see this in the Regents a lot. So we have, this is called a piecewise kind of graph because it's broken up into pieces. The open circles mean that they're not part of the graph. The closed circles mean that they are. So if I draw a line here, it hits two closed circles, so that's why this is not a function. Okay, so that's with graphs. So we went over tables, we went over graphs. The next representation is order pairs. So an order pair is just a list of x and y pairs. Now, for it to be a function, the x values cannot repeat. So if we look at our x values in this list of order pairs, none of those x values repeat. We have 3, 2, 0, 5, and 6. They don't repeat. But if we look at this bottom list of order pairs, we have -5, -4, -2, -1, and -4 again. Since -4 and -4 repeat, that means it is not a function. So -4 and -4 repeat, it is not a function. Lastly, we have diagrams. So diagrams, the same idea kind of applies. We have here our x values and our y values. So these are our x values, our input, these are our output. And we see that each input only has one output. So it only has one arrow. When it's not a function, we have something like this where for y, we have two arrows. That makes it not a function. So those are all the ways that, that functions are represented. So let's very quickly do a little sample Regents question at the bottom. This is also in your interactive notebook. So you're given 3 relations shown below. So we have a set of coordinate pairs, we have a diagram, and we have a graph. And the question is, which relations represent a function? So let's look at the set of order pairs first. We have to look at the x values. And since none of the x values repeat, this is a function. Okay, now let's look at the diagram. So we have one arrow from 3, one arrow from 4, one arrow from 5, one arrow from 6. So this is also a function. And if we look at the graph, let's try to draw some vertical lines. So if we draw a vertical line here, we hit 2 points, but one of them is an open circle. So there's no problem there. If we draw another vertical line, one of them is an open circle. So again, there's no problem there. And if we have this last one, this one's also an open circle, so no problems there. So this is also a function. So for this case, which relation represents the function? 1, 2, and 3 all represent function. Remember, you can always rewind this video and replay. And once you're comfortable with your notes, you can get started with your Regents practice.